What is up, everybody? How is everyone doing out there today? Welcome back to Wildcat MTG. And today we get to revisit some Dominaria Remastered. Today we're going to do a collector box battle. Most of you are familiar with how this works, but for those of you who are not, how this thing is going to work is we're going to open this thing up. We have 4 participants. Each one of them is going to get 3 packs. We're going to open this packs in rounds of 3, adding up the mana values for all the rares and all the mythics. And at the end of this thing, the person with the highest total mana value and the person with the lowest total mana value amongst rares and mythics are each going to get a collector pack of Tarkir Dragonstorm to go along with their other spoils. In the event of a tie, we will take the highest mana value mythic as the first tiebreaker, the highest mana value rare as the second tiebreaker, and if we need another tiebreaker, we'll go down the line with the highest mana value rare until there is a tie, no more. Dominaria Remastered, kind of a channel favorite, I suppose you could say. We've opened up quite a bit of it over the years since it came out. Interesting product in that fun to open, a lot of really good hits. Duplication factor is high. And so these boxes tend to be a little bit swingy. There's some really good high value mythics and actually high value rares. But there's also some significant lows on the mythics. And again, it's not a question of if duplication, it is a matter of what duplication and if the duplication is kind to us or not. Hopefully that'll be the case today. We have 3 packs for Red Leader, 3 packs for Angie Roars, 3 packs for Justin B, and last but not least, we have 3 for Steve H. Good luck, everyone. Let's have some fun and hopefully pull some juice today. Red Leader, why don't you start us off? All right, what kind of mythics are there, you say? There is Force of Will, there is Vampiric Tutor, there is Sylvan Library. Those are just the mythics. We also have, all the tutor cycles. We have Mystical Tutor, Worldly Tutor. I already mentioned Vamp Tutor, and we have Enlightened Tutor. So there's plenty of juice. We're going to start off with a Retro Frame Foil Absorb. That is 3 for mana value. Hey, there's our first mythic. Actually, a pretty good one. I was a little afraid that when MH3 came out with the incubators being at rare, that it was going to kind of tank the incubator market, and it really hasn't. The borderless actually still holds up really well. Pretty nice mythic pull. And a 3 for mana value. After that, yeah, it is our first Denizen Deep of the box. I say our first because it is unlikely to be our last. This tends to be one of those cards that you see 2 or 3 times in a box. Double mythic, though. Hunting Grounds. Hunting Grounds. Kind of a, not like a super value target, but actually kind of a strangely underplayed card. All right, Retro Frame, War Marshal, Street Wraith. Prior to the reprint, Street Wraiths were actually a pretty pricey common, and these are printed at common in this product. All right, we got a couple of mythics. We will sleeve those up. Solid start with the incubator. That's nice. I don't mind seeing those. Okay, so we have ourselves a 3, 4, 5 plus 8, 13, 16. Let me run that back. 8, 11, 12, 13, 16 it is. All right. Angie, you are up next. Would not mind seeing a Vamp Tutor or a Force of Will, or at least from the rares. Yeah, like hitting the Worldly Tutors and Enlightened Tutors or Entombs. That's another really good one. Instead, we start off with a Retro Frame Foil Grim Lavamancer. A card that definitely saw some play in its heyday. That is a 1 for mana value. Next up, hey, Maze of Ith. Borderless Maze of Ith. Not terrible. Still, obviously, very good commander card. Playable, and actually does have some value as well. Next mythic up is a Retro Frame World Gorger Dragon. That is a 6 for mana value. Now, another mythic. Wow, all right. Time Stretch. Woo, that is a high mana value. So we start off with a 1 and we're going to end with a 10. Okay. Retro Frame Foil Duress. Borderless Chainer's Edict. Gotta love these Retro Frame Foil lands in this product. I think that's another solid notch, feather in the cap of this product. Beautiful, beautiful lands. All right, so we squeeze out a couple more mythics early on. Not the high-value mythics that you want to see, but mythics nonetheless. We start off with a 10, 16, still 16, and a 17. So for all that, because we had a 1 and a 0, still only 17 mana value. And I think the Maze of Ith probably goes on top, but instead we'll keep the World Gorger up there. All right, Justin, you are up next. 2 packs, 4 mythics. Strong start as far as mythic count is concerned. Mythic counts do tend to vary. Like, you'll probably end up in like the 6 to 8 range, but definitely seen some oddities there as well. We start off with a Windborn Muse in the Retro Frame foil. That is a 4/4 mana value. A Borderless Entomb. Would not mind seeing multiple copies of this as far as rares go. Beautiful Borderless, and kind of slowly ticking back up there. Entomb was like a $30 card before it was reprinted in Dominaria Remastered, and then it dropped as like into the 6s and 7s, and now it's basically double that. I think they're up to about right between 12 and 14, so solid hit there. Yep, there's our first duplication. There's Absorb. And then a Phantom Nishoba as a pack foil. Not borderless. Retro foil Lull. Wild Growth. Mesa Enchantress. Beautiful Island. And that's going to do it there. Alright, so we have ourselves a 7, 8, 11, 15. 4 plus 3... 7, 8, 15 it is. Tight battle thus far. We'll keep that Entomb on top, and I'll sleeve that up afterwards. Try to get the mythics and other super high-end stuff during the battle, and then the rest afterwards before I ship it out. Here we go, Steve. Starting off with a Borderless Foil Arborea. Arborephil. Alright, 4. Jester's Cap in the Borderless, also an oldie but a goodie. That is also a 4/4 mana value. A Retro Frame Checkland, the Clifftop Retreat, 0. And another Mythic, and it's Urza. Hey, not bad. Not bad. The Urza is, it's not a terrible place to be. Urza's still a really good card. And that is a 4 for mana value as well. Ooh, Retro Frame Foil Impulse, nice. Followed by regular Impulse, Borderless Street Wraith. And that will do it there. Let me sleeve up Urza. Pretty easy on the mana value. 4, 8, and 12. All right, so after the first round, we have Red Leader with a 16, Angie in the high with a 17, Justin right there with a 15, and Steve in the low with a 12, although very close. We have seen, what, 5 Mythics already? And we would not mind seeing if duplication is going to happen in either of the Urza cards. That would kind of be where we want to be thus far. All right, Red Leader, back to you. Start off with a Retro Frame Foil Saproling Symbiosis. That is a 4. Followed by a Gemstone Mine in the Borderless. That is a 0. Dark Depths. So we have another Mythic. We're up to six Mythics already? Pretty good. I like the Retro Frame Dark Depths. I really like the Borderless, and I like the Retro Frame. I mean, I like Dark Depths in general, but I guess you can make that case. That is a 0 for mana value, but it does look cool. And then a Chainer Dementia Master in the Retro, in the pack foil. Ooh, although Retro Frame Foil Counterspell is kind of neat. That is shiny, followed by just a regular Retro Frame Counterspell. Also not terrible. Call of the Herd. Hey, Nature's Lore, pretty good. Nature's Lore is a quality card. All right. Well, yet again, a kind of a weird pack with the highs and lows. So we have a 0, 0, 5, and 4. That is a 9 in total. That will give you a 25 overall. I think the Urza still stays on top. All right. Angie, back to you. What are we absent of is tutors. We've seen a solid mythic count, right? Show me some enlightened tutors. Show me some worldly tutors. I'll take some more entombs as well. I don't hate that. Here we go. Oh, gross. Ugh. Don't show me that. All right. That is a Sarah Avatar. That is yet another mythic. That is a Retro Frame Foil Sarah Avatar. Not totally what I wanted to see there as far as the Retro Frame Foil mythic is concerned, though. It is a 7/4 mana value. Followed by a Siege Gang Commander. Well, Angie is clearly making the run at the high. That is a 5. Followed by a Lotus Blossom in the Retro Frame. That is a 2. and an oversold cemetery in the pack foil that is also a 2. Ooh, retro frame foil Ornithopter. And that's going to do it there. All right, we will begrudgingly sleeve up the Sarah Avatar. Certainly had its time back in its heyday, but just no evasion, no nothing. Just a Dies of Doomblade. Not a quality mythic at this point, at this stage in its life cycle. All right, so 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right? 4, 9, 7, 16 it is. For your efforts, you have a bunch of high mana value mythics that will put you into the high with a 33. Justin, back to you. Is that 7 mythics though? I think it's, if not, it's close. Yeah, it might be 6. It's either 6 or 7. I'm gonna say 7. Here we go. A Cryptic Gateway, retro frame foil Cryptic Gateway, that is a 5. Followed by a second Borderless Maze of Ith. Weird. While it is easily, we see a lot of duplication, you don't typically see them in the same variants. Usually you'll see retro frame, borderless, pack foil, etc., etc. Rare to see them in the same treatments. But again, Maze of Ith, not bad. Followed by an Overmaster. Followed by another Siege Gang Commander. Sure, that is a 5 as well. Ooh, retro frame foil Icy Manipulator. Hey, Frantic Search is good. Okay. So we have ourselves a 5, 10, and 11. That will put you at a 26 so far, Justin. Steve, you had a 12, albeit Justin and Red Leader chose to have very low packs, so this could get very interesting very quickly. Our third Siege Gang Commander. Yep, that's a thing. That is a thing that happens. That is a 5 for mana value. Retro frame foil Siege Gang Commander. Followed by Denizen of the Deep. Yeah, okay. All right, there's an 8. Helm of Awakening. That is a 2. And a Mind Slicer, which is a 4. I actually do like Mind Slicer. Pretty good card. Retro frame foil Mishra's Factory. Invigorating Boon. White Mane Lion. Yep. Okay, and that will do it there. Well, I'm going to just call it what it was. That was not a... it's an interesting pack. It was not a great pack. So we have ourselves an 8 plus 5. That's 13, 17, 18, 19. Is that what I saw? 6, 14, 19 it is. And as predicted, that made things very interesting very quickly. Went from the low to hunting for the high. So here we go. Things about to get real wild in this third round here. Red Leader in the low now with a 25. Angie still in the high, albeit by a very slim margin with a 33. Justin kind of right there with Red Leader for the low with a 26. And then Steve now pushing for the high with a 31. But you see the variances in mana values. You have some lands, and then you have some big old 7 and 8 mana value, 10 mana value mythics. All right, last round. Here we go. We're going to start off with a retro frame foil Helm of Awakening, followed by a borderless Lotus Blossom, followed by a Rith the Awakener, that is a 6 for mana value in the retro frame, and a Worldly Tutor, finally on the board with a tutor. I mean, you know, kind of Entomb kind of counts, I guess, but that's more like what I wanted to see. These have, the Mystical Enlighten and the Worldly Tutors have really, really crept back up. Flame Tongue Kabu was a borderless foil. That's kind of neat. Sarah Angel, sure. Empty the Warrens. Okay. I'm actually going to sleeve up that Worldly Tutor as well. Here we go. What are we doing here? 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that an 11? 4 plus 6, 10, and 11 it is. Puts you at a 36. Angie, you have a 33. Your mission is clearly the high at this point. Let's see how we add to your totals. We're going to start off with Is that yeah, it's technically a mythic. It is. Well, we've actually had we haven't had any duplication in the mythic level, have we? That's actually strange. I mean, we're not done yet, but that is Kamal, Fist of Krosa. That is a retro frame foil mythic Kamal. That is a 6/4 mana value. Followed by a Decimate in the border list. That is a 4. Ooh, Maze of Ith. Well, as our third Maze of Ith. You could do worse than that in a box. That's a retro frame. That is a 0 for mana value. Does not help your totals. And then a Forgotten Ancient with a 4. Valduk, Savannah Lions, Mindstone, Beautiful Forest. And that's going to do it there. All right. Let me sleeve up Kamal. So we have ourselves a 6, 10, 14. 6, 10, and 14 it is. That will put you at a 47. Will that be enough to hold off Steve? Or Justin, for that matter. 21 is... So, Justin, here it is. You are below Red Leader by 10 for the low, and Angie by 21 for the high, albeit I believe she has the tiebreaker, so you would need a 22, which is not insurmountable in these packs. All right, here we go. Start off, ooh, Borderless Foiled Mystic Remore. That's actually a pretty sweet pull as well. Very nice. Don't hate that at all. It is a 1 for mana value and a really nice pull. Borderless Foil Mystic Remora. Followed by a Grim Lavamancer. All right, feels like the path is the low. You're at, it's a 2. Followed by a Body Snatcher, which is a 4. And then the last one, ooh, Exploration. Solid rare. That's another one of those rares we were hoping to see. And I think you did it. Man, Retro Frame Foil Spirit Monger is kind of nice. It's kind of cool. Well, that was a that was a really low pack. I'm actually going to sleeve up the Remora, and I'll get the Exploration real quick while we're at it. Well, that was quite the magic trick there, Justin. All right, so 1, 2, 3, and 7. 4, 5, 6, and 7. That puts you at a 33, vaults you into the low, and I'll throw the Remora on top. All right, Steve, you're at a 31. You would be 2 below Justin for the low. That seems unlikely. You are currently chasing 16, probably 17 to take the lead outright, because I don't believe tiebreakers will work in your favor. 17 or more nets you the high. 16 or below, not good enough. Here we go. We start off with a Crawl Space. Actually, not a bad rare. Retro Frame Foil Crawl Space. That is a 3. Followed by an Arborea. That is a 4. Divine Sacrament, which is a 3. Things about to get interesting. And conclude with a Lotus Blossom, which is a 2. Believe that will leave you a little short. That is a Retro Frame Foil Chain Lightning, which is kind of cool. Momentary Blink, Peregrine Drake. And that is going to do it there. Let us add these up. 2, 5, 9, 12. 7, 10, 12 it is. And that will put you at a 43, which I do not believe will get it done today. Final scores. Red Leader with a 36. Angie does maintain the high with a 47. Justin in the low with a 33 after pulling off a 7 in that last round. And Steve with a 43. Not the best box of Dominaria Remastered. I will say, I don't actually think we had duplication at the Mythic level, and that is actually pretty rare. But we somehow, even though we pulled a bunch of different Mythics, managed to dodge like Vamp Tutor, Sylvan Library, and Force of Will. Kind of a bummer. I wish we had also seen from the rares. Like, Mr. Gamora is really good. It's nice to see Exploration. We kind of got bailed out with at least seeing a Worldly Tutor. Would have really liked to see like a Mystical Tutor and or a Enlightened Tutor in there. It's an okay box. Anytime the Sarah Avatar is like your Retro Frame Foil Mythic, that kind of feels bad. So, yeah, you know, not a total dumpster fire. I've certainly seen worse, but not the highest we could have done either. All right, Justin, you have the low, you have the honors. Little Tark here. Dragon Storm. Here we go. We're going to start off with a Sage of the Skies, and that borderless. That is a Well, it's a 3. I don't care because we're not doing that anymore. We've moved on. Meringue. Hey, River Regent. That does have a flip side, which is kind of like Baby River Regent, which is still incredibly creepy looking. Good card. Does see play. Winter Night Stories. Become the Avalanche. And a Baron Step Siege as the pack foil. Nice little island. Did not get the Dragon Island. Okay. Alright. Yeah, it's alright. Meringue's alright. The Avalanche is kind of cool as well as like a commander card. Alright, Angie. Congrats on your W. Let's see what that looks like here. Starting off with a borderless foil, Rediscover the Way. Beautiful, beautiful art saga. Followed by a Scavenger Regent. Does this one have a flip? This might actually be the first I've seen of the borderless. Yeah, all right. Again, baby Scavenger Regent. It's actually the first time I've seen, I think, the borderless version. It's kind of cool. The Sib Sig Ceremony. Deceptive Frostkite. And a Clarion Conqueror, which is actually not a bad pull. It's dropped off in value, but I think this is still a very good utility card. Ooh, and a Dragon Eye Island. Those actually still do carry some nice residual value for them as well. All right, well, that is going to do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, do me a favor. If you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button for me, hit the like button for me. By all means, drop me some comments. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks so much, everybody, and be well.